the ethical considerations one should keep in mind while foraging for wild plants?
Yeah, it's really important. And I think as when when we live in this time where there's so much ecological destruction of habitat for plants, and there's a lot of animals that depend on the plants besides us. Um, it's nuanced, you know. It's in California, it's generally not everywhere, but it's generally illegal to harvest on city, regional, state, or national parks. It's legal to harvest on private land where you have permission, or on BLM land where you have a claim, or a national forest, and that's legally that's pretty much it. Which I think is that's in a lot of ways I resisted that for so long, and I just thought that was such bullshit. But I think it's actually, you know, when we are coming from a culture of where there is a built-in exchange with everything, while that exchange is money, and it is very frustrating, especially when there's lacks of money. It's frustrating that there's always a monetary exchange. When people move into the paradigm where there's not a monetary exchange, like with wild foods, there can be this energy. What does it look like to be in a a beautiful reciprocity with land? I think that it's something that we all crave. I think it's inherent to us. I think it's something that I want everyone, myself included, my family included, to nurture. And I think it's really important to not look at wild foods as like free food that comes without any sort of relationship. It's still a relationship, and it just is one that can be nurtured over time. And um, yeah, don't harvest in a place the first time you're there. Learn the place. Ask the ranger about the place. Ask the people that frequent that place. Ask the other people on the trail. Come back over the course of the year. See if it's sprayed. You know, while you're eating your wonderful salad, you don't want to be eating a handful of glyphosate, because oftentimes parks, after trying to do all of their manual weeding of a place, will resort to um, chemical herbicides. So yeah, that's all that to say. It's about relationship. So ethical considerations, who else goes there? How much can that particular plant tolerate of being harvested? What are you giving to the plant in exchange for its leaf, its seed, its life? If you're harvesting roots, you know, you're taking the plant's life. That's a thing. That's a thing. If it's a leaf, you know, it's inhibiting the photosynthesis of the plant and the reproduction and the growth of that plant. And if it's, you know, if it's a nut, an acorn or a bay nut that fell next to the plant, I think that the plants they're trying to share their bounty. Like I think that oftentimes plants want these relationships very, very, very much so. And so I would hope that people don't get like too in their heads about, oh, I'm just taking from this plant. I'm like, I mean, we all eat. Part of what it means to be alive and a human and growing is that other like beings are dying and becoming us, and then hopefully we're nourishing the world around us with our actions, with what comes out of us. And so, what can we do for this plant that will help it have a better life after we're there? Um, does it need some water? Does it want a song? Does it want an offering, like a plant spirit offering? Does it want tobacco, or maybe a little bit of honey if you have some on you? Yeah, there's a lot of folklore in the Celtic tradition about making offerings at plants when you take
Mhm.
parts from them. And if you don't, the fairies will come and get you. And that's the nature spirits, you know, the nature spirits that are watching out for the landscape. And I think that the way that we interact, if when we're interacting with, if we go up to a plant and we feel kind of like, oh, like people, like I shouldn't be harvesting this plant, and you kind of like steal a leaf, that's a really particular energy that you're bringing to that place, that you're kind of bringing to yourself. Like, go, if you're going to harvest something, go with reverence and make it a special moment, and really acknowledge that it's a sacred act that you're taking from this plant, and stay in that space. You don't have to like be super nitpicky about every single leaf that you harvest, but make sure that you're staying in reverence so that you get the cues of when to stop, so that you get the little messages in your mind that we all get, or in the body that we get messages somehow. That's we don't have to hear it in English or whatever languages we speak through our ears. We can get it through our body about how much to harvest, when to stop harvesting, what parts of the plant to harvest, and what this plant wants in exchange, what they would like to thrive after we were there. And go with that and just keep going with that. It's innate to all of us. This is how it's such a funny thing that we're so separated from this, but it's in our genes. Like, you'll get it. You'll get it. Just keep trying. Just keep coming back to doing it in the way that really feels like it's honoring of your lineage and of this plant, and you'll be fine.